It's no surprise to our viewers that I'm a big fan of old school revival games. I talk about them often on the channel. So today, actually, I think that old school revival games have a lot of perks. They attempt to bring back the retro feel of the original D20 games, and they put an emphasis on the player rather than characters. So it's all about the player thinking things through, figuring out how to solve each crisis that comes up for the characters, rather than creating a broken character that is just good at one particular thing that you know that you're going to encounter in some kind of metagame. So today in our news segment, we're going to talk about a really, really exciting addition to the OSR series. You see it here. I'm just going to tease it on the screen. But first, for those of you watching live on Twitch, don't forget to hit the follow button and turn on notifications so that you know when we're going live. And for those of you that are joining us now on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can stay up to date on tabletop news and game clips. We do both of those here on Play That John. And drop us a comment if you're on YouTube below so that I can say hey and thanks for watching. And consider joining us on Twitch sometime. We're on Twitch streaming live on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. Where we're playing through RPG and adventure games. Right now, we're playing through Baldur's Gate, which you know, of course, is based on the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons rules. All are welcome at our table. With that, okay, let's talk about this game. I cannot wait a second longer to talk about it. This is a really special one because it's one that I had a chance to play during its early access release, and one that I enjoyed the heck out of in that early release. And I've watched it with fervor as each piece of art has come out for this game, and as we've waited for its official release. I've been following this on Instagram, and each time that a new piece of art got posted, I just got more and more and more excited for its release. And that is this game, Barbarians of the Ruined Earth. The game designer, Mike Evans of DIY Gaming, drew inspiration from this game from Thundar the Barbarian and Mad Max, two franchises that I just think are fantastic. So a lot of you that are joining us on Twitch, maybe a bit young and probably too young to remember Thundar the Barbarian, but you should really look it up. It is really an awesome series that we grew up with. Curl purple hair leader there. You mean the one up here with the tongue, or the mohawk here in the front? Yeah. So I think with that sort of accents, is Sweet Nightmare is this idea that it's like this post-apocalyptic kind of rock and roll, like punk feel. So Mike Evans and his company at DIY Gaming, they have this sort of like punk feel. And yeah, the mohawk, right? And so I think that that's exactly what he breathes into this game, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I definitely think some of you who are joining us on YouTube will remember Thundar the Barbarian, and will know exactly what I mean when I mention that. For our younger crowd, think about the Wasteland episode of Rick and Morty. They actually pun Mad Max and some of the other games, and that's definitely the style that we've got here. Oh, and Chaz actually has a mohawk, he says. So we've got a mohawk in support right here. I got a buddy who played drums for my high school band that had a mohawk as well. He always had to brush it to the side whenever we had a concert band, at school. All right, so I want to dive a little deeper into Barbarians of the Ruined Earth. First, I want to talk about the story, right? The first part of any tabletop RPG game is the story. I flipped way too fast. The story of Barbarians of the Ruined Earth is that basically an alien planet has come out of nowhere and crashed into our moon. And when that happens, it sends genetic material and moon pieces and alien matter all over the Earth. And we've survived that. But now the world that we've inherited is full of sorcery and science and genetic material. And we, as the player characters, have decided either to fight against the tyranny that has developed in this new world outcome, or to, if we want, contribute further to that tyranny. And so that's the story. So basically, imagine like that Fallout style kind of Wastelanders, but mixing in elements that you're used to in tabletop games like spell casting and potions and things like that. All right. So then the mechanics. How does this game play? The game is based on Lockdown got me mental. I know. Oh God, it's got us all. I just noticed that. I'm definitely feeling the effects of that for sure. So the mechanics. This game is based on something that you guys have heard me talk about before, which is the black hack. And the black hack basically takes the old school D&D rules and simplifies them even further. So the point of black hack was to sort of create a game that could be read in like 40 or 50 pages that everyone could pick up and understand. So those of you who are familiar with role-playing games will definitely recognize things like 3d6 rolling for your stat block. So each stat block, you roll three six-sided dice to determine what that score is. Right? We're used to that in Dungeons and Dragons, or at least the older editions, especially of Dungeons and Dragons. You'll recognize the stats themselves. There's strength, there's dexterity, there's constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Some of the things that you won't recognize, though, what you won't find here are THACOs to hits, skill levels, or proficiency bonuses. So instead, what this game does is you use your stats for basically everything. So if I'm going to do something, I tell the GM what it is I want to do, and the GM determines what I roll to do that. So if I'm going to sneak, I tell him, okay, I'm going to sneak up on that bad guy, and he'll say, okay, roll a dexterity check. Just roll dexterity. And so you just do a straight roll. And if you roll underneath what your attribute is in that skill, then you successfully roll. If you don't, then you fail. It seems really interesting. I totally agree. I'm so glad you feel so because I feel exactly the same way. So attacking, for instance, there's none of this like proficiency bonuses where you have to determine, okay, what's their armor class, what's my, what's my to hit bonus, what's my THACO, what's any of that. You just roll strength, and if you roll under your score, then you hit. So if you have a strength of 18 and you roll a 10, okay, you hit. Um, okay, well, if that's the case, then how does armor work? Armor actually subtracts from how much damage you take. So if you roll, let's say, a 2 in damage against somebody that's wearing light armor, well, they only take 1 damage. It's damage reduction instead. And so what that does is it makes it so much easier to play this game. Also, the art style seems cool. Yeah, the art. I don't think his name is on. Oh, it is. Yeah. Okay. So these are the individuals that contributed to the art under the direction of Mike Evans, and you see them listed here. The cover, the person who did the cover, I don't think is. It might be this individual, but I don't think it's actually listed here. He has it on his Instagram. I can post that later. But yeah, the art is it fits the world so perfectly. That post-apocalyptic feel, it's got that like punk rock feel. It's really a joy to play. So okay, that's the mechanics of the game. The last one to cover is if your character dies, because this is an OSR game, which means old school revival, which means your character is going to die a lot. So when your character dies, they don't quote unquote die, right? They are out of action, is what the game calls it. And there's a table here that you roll. So you roll a d10, and this is what you determine. So if your character dies, if your character is taken out of action, then you roll on this table, and the different things that can happen is they're just knocked out. They lose 2 points on their strength, dexterity, and constitution. They take brain damage. They lose a limb. Or if you roll a 10, well, yeah, no, they're actually dead. So yeah, that is a different way of handling death than these like saving throws and things that you're used to in other games. That's very much a black hack feature. It's just to simplify how all of this works. All right, so that's all well and good. That's a lot of talk about what the game is and what the world is. But how does it actually play? And that's something that I can actually talk about in this game because it's one that I actually had a chance to get hands-on time with. So there's a bunch of different classes that I should point to. they basically there are there's a table up here. Let me go to that. So there's four human classes and then four non-human classes. So there's like raptor folk, there's robots, there's like a beast man who is sort of like so Thundar the Barbarian had a companion that was like this lion beast man, and I think that that's sort of what that class is based on. And there's a sorcerer in the non-human. But I played a human death priest. So let me pull up the uh, barbarian, beastman, scavenger. There's the robot. Here's the death priest. Now my character wasn't dressed like this, but it just is another interesting take on how crazy this game is. So my death priest took two miracles, right? Because he was level one. These miracles are sort of like priest spells, except they're like of the evil priest kind of style. So he had things where he could basically make the characters take more damage. He could do something that's actually more like an illusion spell for a wizard, where he could make them have visions of these, like be haunted, basically have these visions of ghosts that take away their health. So I played one of those. Um, and the basis of the campaign was that we were traveling to a natural history museum to take on this big boss. We didn't know who the big boss was. We just knew that he was the leader of people that were raiding towns and that burned down our village, and so we had to take him out. And so to get there, we each had to roll to get a mount. So this game has different mounts, and you roll on a random table to determine what your mount is. So my mount ended up being a buffalo snake hybrid. So it was like one part buffalo, one part snake, and you figure out, you get to choose as the character or as the player what that looks like, right? So it could be, a full buffalo with the tail of a snake, or a buffalo with a big giant snake head. You get to decide how that looks. But um, my character was mounted on a buffalo snake hybrid, making, yeah, super wacky. I completely agree. And that's the point, like gathering with friends, sitting around a table. For us, we were sitting around having a beer and just sort of enjoying this game. I imagine if I was in high school, it would be us gathered around Mountain Dews, eating Doritos, laughing about the fact that I'm riding a buffalo snake like a horse. That's like the Mad Max angle, right? Because Mad Max was all about these souped up, random, strange cars. So in this, it's souped up, random, strange animals that you get to ride, which is really fun. Um, but as is the case with a lot of OSR games, I think my first experience or my first realization is that you fail rolls in this game a lot. And that's actually better. The reason that that's better is it creates a sort of narrative. So, my character had a blowgun that he kept missing with, and so I got to create a story. I get to role play that, and why is he so bad with his blow dart? Or if you fail, your charisma check, well, then you get to sort of work out with the DM how that conversation ends up. Failing checks is a necessary part of a tabletop game, and it's absolutely my feeling that when you instead in these new like fifth editions, or what a lot of people would do in third edition of D&D, was just like create a character that was super broken, like create a grappler, and that character was super good at grappling, and that's all that they did. And I think what happens in that is you tend to lose these fails. And I think the fails are what is really the bread and butter of these kind of games. Oh yeah, sure. All right. Well, thank you so much for hanging out, Chaz, and we'll see you soon. Thank you for playing on the game with us, and we'll see you really soon. So yeah, so you fail a lot, and that creates a really interesting narrative. My character was downed, and so he actually took some damage to his strength, constitution, and charisma that he basically had throughout the rest of the quest, which again fits the narrative really well. Your character is trying to navigate, basically he's been taken down by some raiders outside of the museum, and he's dusted himself off and walked into the museum, but he's not feeling so great. He's still not quite right, and that really fits the narrative well. So we fought through lizard men. flaming zombies, and even cavemen once we got into the Natural History Museum. And again, what's really nice about this is it puts so much of the emphasis on the player, and the player sort of having to work out, okay, how do I get, so once we got into the museum, how do we get to the second story of the museum? Okay, I feel like usually when we're confined to a character sheet, when we're focused on our character sheet, we're focused on, okay, what does my character sheet say that can help me get to the second floor? And instead, in games like this, where there really isn't much of a character sheet, what you instead get is a leader of your pack going, well, I'm just gonna. You said there's a there's a banner hanging down from the second floor. Can I just climb that? And your GM goes, yeah, sure. Make a strength check to see whether or not you can do that. So what you get is, and I'm sure that there are D&D campaigns where you get this as well, but I think that the majority of what's really great about these old school games is they get you thinking again about the environment and about being a good player rather than being a good character. And I think that that experience is what's left me hungry for more. I have not played this since that playthrough, and I have been dying to. So I'm really looking forward now that it's out to putting together, a game with friends and playing through this again. If you've tried this and you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment and let me know what you think about it. I want to know what other people's experience with this game was. I think it's super fantastic. So with that, what I'm going to do, I'll post the links. I'm going to send these links to, and again, this is just me talking about the game. I'm not supported in any way by DIY Productions. I'm not supported by Drive Through RPG or any of these sources. Oh, thank you, Sweet Nightmare. That'd be great. Yeah, we should all try it together. I think that'd be really fun. So I'm not associated with any of these in any way, but I do want to just say that I recommend this because I really enjoyed it. It's something that I really genuinely enjoyed and really genuinely want you to enjoy as well. So there's two links that I'll drop in the Twitch chat here and that I'll post down below for those of you watching this on YouTube. The first is a standard cover version of the game. The second is a alternative cover. I like this. I bought the standard cover one because I just like the art on it. But those are two different covers. And then the last that I'll post is this is actually really neat. Let me pull this up. But DIY RPG Productions also curates a store for their own, for their goods. And these are really awesome. I really like a lot of the designs of this. So let me get the store page up and then flip the view so you guys can see this as well. So let me flip what you're looking at. It's going to be blown out. All right, there we go. So he actually, some of the other games are here as well. Like, Hubris is here. But like, for instance, this Barbarians of the Ruined Earth hoodie is awesome. It's just it's the cover from the game, but just like a black and white version. And these are really cool. I really like these a lot. So check that out as well. And throw some support where you can. I think what DIY is doing is fantastic. And what Mike is doing is fantastic. And I can't wait to see what they're up to next. So check that out. Thanks for sticking with us. Again, like and subscribe the page on YouTube if you haven't already. And be sure to check us out on Twitch. And we'll look forward to seeing you there. That's our news segment for now. And look forward to the next installment with you guys. Thanks so much.